we're expecting a very general kind of ban and lock phase, and so far it's looking about to be along those lines. Yep, Emma Frost, Magneto. There we go. Loki ban right here. Yep, there you go. I'm so good at predicting this. All right, we're going to lock in. Magneto? It's going to be a Magneto lock-in. Magneto. Yep, there we go. Yep. And then we trade Lokis.
Sorry.
Nope,
you trade Lokis, you're right.
Oh, whoa. Don't do that. Wait. Don't do that. That's not part of the script. Don't do that.
That's not part of the script. The script writers have written everything, chat.
Wait. Oh, whoa. Okay, this is getting interesting. This is already getting interesting. Usually where that Wolverine is a second. Okay, there's the Loki. Never mind. Carry on. Understandable. Have a nice day.
Back to the script, folks. Back to the script. As we had a bit of excitement there, the Wolverine immediately banned out. We've seen, Rocco has worked that in the past. You already see the soft hover from O2 Blast. But we'll go ahead with the dual Loki bans and the Storm ban, to say the least.
Oh my god! Wait, O2 Blast. There's the 9 True Tiger from the Storm. Usually True Tiger goes away from the Vanguard. If they want to go for the 1 Vanguard composition, True Tiger is usually on that Storm, and O2 Blast just deny that option.
That would be
this is some huge awareness coming in from O2 Blast. They definitely did their homework, considering the adjustment coming in right off the get-go. As MVNEsports are going to respond with an Ultron ban, O2 Blast will secure themselves the Mantis, as Marvel Vietnam will respond with an Ultron of their own.
Yeah, Lich on the Ultron has been an absolute playmaker, right? Like, I can absolutely see, yes, unfortunately, True Tiger not on the Storm, but Lich on and Ultron can 100% carry the whole team here. So, would be interesting to see another targeted ban. You see, I feel like they're really working the duelists and limiting the number that they can work, but, looking at how MVF have played, they've run the 1, 2, 3 so many times. And not a lot of strategists plus Vanguard bans.
Yeah, but we've seen this before, right? Where one team decides to lock in the Ultron for themselves, and the opposing team just bans out the Human Torch. Both of those characters synergizing really well with each other. There's also the Iron Man option, but not many teams like to go for that, as the Human Torch is just so much more potent in terms of zoning, in terms of damage, in terms of just that extra bit of positioning, and you don't have to really worry about the Human Torch in terms of sustain as an Ultron, because you just have an AoE heal. So
yeah,
getting that band away, getting that trade down has been one of those evolutions that we've been seeing throughout this tournament, and today in playoffs is no exception, as we do head back to the lair of Hydra for map 1 of the match of the night. O2 Blast versus Marvel Vietnam. Korea versus Vietnam. And we will see who comes out on top in this best of 3.
My heart's starting to pain, but that'll have to wait as we jump straight into the action here. Teens rocking the Wolverine, True Tiger, supporting the double Vanguard look for the Vietnam team at the moment, and of course Lich back on their signature. But it's going to be O2 Blast and really back onto the side. Really is doing wonders once again. We talked about it with a very well placed strange teleport to maybe try and deny some coverage from the MVN squad.
Yeah, something worth mentioning, as Solman does open up the momentum for O2 Blast. Rocco is on the Black Panther right now. You can see him on the far end of the screen, just wreaking havoc on the backline now. Deems that the timing is a good one right now, as Ray is just putting down fire at the feet of Marvel Vietnam, and it's just going to be so much zoning. But look at Rocco go, as Felix and Rocco team up to take down 2, as the CYA is going to be popped, but it seems like Marvel Vietnam are the ones getting popped, as off they go into the spawn room, as O2 Blast pick up the momentum.
Yeah, the CYA, Rethan on the rocket, it can be very, very instantly dealt with, which you saw, honestly, had less than a 2-second life, that Cosmic Yarn. And so unfortunately it's going to be O2 Blast taking the point for themselves and wanting to, initiate some cooldowns early on. Goes Onsen on a bit of a pressure here. Light looking for some picks with some pre-fires around the corners, but forcing perhaps the Roko to fall back to their lair on the hunt still, and Lich is aware of it. Now comes the movement of the terrain, so we open things up with something new, a bit more of a flank scenario coming from the right side.
But look at this though. O2 Blast have so many ultimates to work with. Marvel Vietnam, they're gonna stack their ultimates on top of each other, but Miracle is gonna get popped. Tien's is gonna get resurrected, but O2 Blast are just cooking right now as they're looking to be on track to shut out Marvel Vietnam in this round number 1. No one switching to the Doctor Strange just yet on the side of Marvel Vietnam. And I don't think they're going to be able to get there in time. 10 seconds left on the clock. They need to move now.
They do indeed, and there's not much mobility to be had. Maybe they send Miracle down the path to be able to take some space, but the Bass comes out to be able to counter, and that's time. Honestly, they weren't even able to touch it right at the end. And holy, it was a flawless for O2 Blast.
Oh my goodness. O2 Blast just comes swinging right out of the gate. It was a long wait between the match between EXO and Crazy Raccoon and this one. There was a lot of downtime. And O2 Blast want to get this over with quick and easy. And so far they are looking to do just that.
Yeah, you see the differences between you see an effective Black Panther, right? Rocco being a nuisance but not overstaying the welcome, allowing Rii that poke damage to come in and just support the rest of their team with some well-placed mechanics and well-placed flames from that perspective. A change up right now. True Tiger actually hopping onto the Doctor Strange, something we haven't really seen too much of, right? From that perspective, as we normally see Skinny, who isn't on the roster today, unfortunately, take that. So, a bit of a sub coming in from that perspective, unfortunately. And now the Onse coming out with an interesting hit into a portal.
He's doing his signature. He's going to put up a portal, but he's going to wait for a perfect moment as Rocco is going to draw some attention away from that portal being used. But here we go. CYA going to kick things off on Marvel Vietnam to keep everyone alive and healthy. Rocco can't really go in just yet. Is going to buy this time as Ray is going to be the first to get the picks, gets the double. As Holman is just in the back, trying to keep everyone alive. Onse and Welsh Corgi, the two vanguards, will clean up house as Marvel Vietnam need to run for the hills.
What a response, right? Cosmic Yard comes out. Immediate response was the invisible dimensions that was positioned in a way that still get them onto the steps and onto the point itself. So a great response coming out from the side of O2 Blast, and MVM are gonna have to fall back to the drawing board to figure out how they want to pierce this defense.
Yep, I have Agamotto available on both sides. It's a matter of who will use it, but Rocco has other plans. He's gonna wipe out 2. We'll get traded away, but look at the health bars coming in from Marvel Vietnam. There is none. They can't do anything. And everyone on O2 Blast are just in sync with each other. They know what to do. They know what needs to be done. And they will keep control. Marvel Vietnam somehow are able to find some sort of ground. But for now, all the ground is on O2 Blast as they're going to force a defense as Supernova is going to be popped by Ray. And everyone else on Marvel Vietnam need to find a way in, need to find a spot to go in. The stun does not connect on the side of Onse. Rage of Ultron going to be used by Light. He's been very, very good on this Ultron, but Ray finds an opportunity to backstab this Ultron, but can't quite land the finishing blow as Rocco, being annoying, being the nuisance, but Onse is able to shut down True Tiger. And O2 Blast are just slowly but surely creeping their way to a map 1 victory as O2 Blast, they show no signs of stopping.
I feel like every single ultimate that MVN pulled out was immediately countered with a well-placed block or a well-placed ultimate. This is a Hail Mary coming out from True Tiger to occupy the site and draw things back. Will be able to claim the point for their own, which is humongous from that perspective. And now, with more ultimates to boot, will clamp down in a bit of a pincer move on to Welsh Corgi. It's gonna be Rei fighting Lich, an important strategist out of the way, and Onsen fighting Rethan, another strategist, a single one on the side of MVE.
Wait.
Rei is just doing absolute damage onto this side. Phoenix to boot, nonetheless. And what started off as a stronghold from the side of Marvel Esports is slowly crumbling.
And that's going to be it. Map 1. Going over to O2 Blast. It was a little bit labored on that round number 2, but in the end, it's all O2 Blast. Great move coming in by Marvel Vietnam. Able to catch O2 Blast off guard for a little bit with that strange portal. But then again, the sheer firepower coming out of O2 Blast was just too much for Marvel Vietnam to handle. And I had a feeling this was the case where Marvel Vietnam, they have the good rotations. They make a good call in terms of positioning, in terms of rotations. But in the end, it's just the amount of sheer amount of firepower just overpowers Marvel Vietnam. And O2 Blast do just that. Rocco doing so much work on that Black Panther, just causing so much disruption, so much chaos in the back line, and that just allows Rage to just go up access. But for now, we head back into the picks, bans, and locks. O2 Blast, they made a smart move by denying True Tiger's flexibility options by banning out the Storm on the tail end of that ban phase. We'll see if O2 Blast will want to do the same, or do Marvel Vietnam want to invest a lock onto the Storm? That's also going to be another important question to ask.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they did it again. It worked for them, and they managed to get the upper hand. You know, without a flyer, it can leave the side of Rei uncontested, which was sort of the case. Yep, there we go. Kind of signature bans across the board. Storm ban coming out from O2 Blast, and Ultron being stripped away from the side of MVN.
Whoa, is that a Loki lock? Will we actually see a Loki this time around? Oh my god. We finally get to see a Loki. O2 Blast secured the Loki for themselves.
I guess that's the punishment, right? Like, if you don't manage to have one of the highest secured strategists in the entire Marvel Rivals Ignite Stage 1 series, then you have to be a fool not to be able to lock it in yourself, which is exactly how O2 Blast is going to do. They're going to have the God of Mischief ultimates, which just allows so much flexibility, allows for double defensive ults, double proactive ults. I'm worried. I'm worried for MVN.
Yeah, now that I think about it, I think the Ultron ban coming in by Marvel Vietnam is a little bit better than banning out the Loki, especially since you're on Spider Islands with that verticality. Ultron can just get so high up in the air where he just becomes a very, very hard target to hit, and he's just able to provide sustain from that high up. So I think, in a way, Marvel Vietnam might find more value banning out that Ultron compared to the Loki. Like yes, the Loki plus Luna Snow combo is available, but is it really going to impact the game as much as some people might think because of all this verticality, all these different areas, all these ways to just disrupt each other in terms of team composition? We're gonna have to wait and see though, because this has definitely been one of the more interesting champion, or what do I say, hero select phases that we have seen in this tournament.
Indeed. And O2 Blast here on the defense, rocking a triple Vanguard build. They really want to put the fight over to the side of MVM, Rocco being the sole duelists. to boot, and they're gonna immediately target Lich, who had to shift their way out, but shift not fast enough. It's gonna be the BRB bringing them back to life, keeping it in a 6v6, but there's so much brawl potential coming out from two collaborating things happening at the front lines.
Not to mention, it's also Onse on the Hulk just wailing away as well. So it's just Tien's topping it off. It's going to be 4 melee oh my gosh, Tien's. Okay, you just sprung up into the sky and went down as a result. But for now, O2 looking to be commanding. No signs of stopping here is the O2 Blast train. As everyone on Marvel Vietnam need to find a way in. Solman commits with the God of Mischief. What ultimate did he pick up? What ultimate will he use? We'll figure out in a bit. As the fate of both worlds seems like was to pick up for Solman. As Felix's real fate of both worlds is going to be available now. As the timer does run out, the light is forced onto the Squirrel Girl as stuns do come in. The Meteor going to land onto Miracle, denying the Eternal Bond. BRB comes back, but that's a huge ultimate being out of the table for Marvel Vietnam.
Oh, that was diabolical to say the least, right? Welsh Corgi with a solid dunk and a half, and now the Stagger is just about to weave in and out. MVN can't really find a way out. It's gonna be the Cosmic Yarn to maybe initiate things going, but so much has already been used. Moon Haunting comes out as well, but no value, none to say the least, because the crystals protect and sustain so much of the back line as well. It's so hard to be able to push through. It's Hayo right at the top side, and True Tiger will eventually find Onsen. The trade comes out, so 1-for-1 Vanguard none the least, but it's gonna be Rocco with the last stand, catching the Vanguard none the least, bringing it back, and True Tiger will drop to the hands of Felix. What looked like a crack in the opening from against Onsen, but O2 Blast fire back on all fronts.
Yeah, Rocco landed a multi-man last stand. So many members of Marvel Vietnam getting stunned up and taken away. As O2 Blast, they are not showing signs of stopping. I'm still surprised how O2 Blast survived the Wombo combo of the Strangling Prison into the hand of Khonshu. That was an option that was used by Marvel Vietnam, but it wasn't enough, as everyone on O2 Blast are just keeping this going. Meteor not going to land the mark, and Marvel Vietnam are running out of options. There's the hand of Khonshu yet again, but everyone on O2 already left, ran for the hills, ran to reposition, as Welsh Corgi opens things up. Tienz tries to kidnap Welsh Corgi. That'll be a good trade. And a necessary one indeed, as Onse gonna get isolated and taken away. That's 2 of the Vanguards down and out. And it looks like Marvel Vietnam should be able to push on forward, as they should be able to clean up the rest of O2 Blast. Keep in mind, O2 Blast need a bit of time to get themselves back onto the site for a grouping up for another push. And O2 Blast will concede to some distance.
Yeah, it took MVN 3 duelists actually to be able to push out, which is a smart move. You're so close to spawn, you might as well come out with a bit of force, and you're sticking with it, right? Hayo will be pushed back and isolated. Onset will be moved out of the way, tried their best to maybe shield and get a pick, but Welsh Kogi will fire back with a Meteor Amp, doesn't find anyone, but Rocco does. It's a trade from Lich, a trades of trades, another 2 for 2 to say the least, and already we're in overtime.
Yeah, overtime meter gonna start up, but it looks like Marvel Vietnam have the man advantage for the time being. Onse really wants to keep himself from getting staggered, needs to fight for his life, as Solman doing his best to keep his fellow Vanguard alive, but he won't be able to do so. And that's going to be a huge member of O2 Blast being out of the fight for just a bit longer. Overtime meter still alive and well. But will O2 go for a teleport? Will O2 find a desperation play? It doesn't seem like it, as Onse will stay. Oh my gosh, my voice is just going absolutely bonkers right now, as True Tiger wants to do the same with the final judgment. Hyel will stack things up. 3, 4 will go down, as the Eye of Agamotto is going to be too little, too late, as he's not able to find a opportunity to find a pick in Marvel Vietnam. It took them a while. It took them a minute, but they're able to secure point number 1.
the real question is, can they keep the momentum sustained and alive? And True Tigers wanting to do exactly that together with Heal. Mind you, once again, MVN back to their 1-3-2, which is a very new look for them. Triple duelist to say the least, and True Tiger with the tracking of a lifetime, trying to bring down perhaps Rocco from invading onto the space. It's gonna be grabbed onto Lich, who's on the Iron Fist, nonetheless hunting for more, and the heals come out. Living Chi activated, nonetheless, to have a bit of a brawl here on site.
But True Tiger able to find the opening pick onto Onsen in this fight, as Rocco is able to trade. I assume it was a kidnap into the ledge for Rocco. He's been very, very good with that play. As the last stand, gonna find a double, making a triple. Rocco, how do you get away with these kinds of plays? Gets a quad, gets a penta. Wants a hunt for the Hexa, but will not be given. As Rocco on this Wolverine has been an absolute beast so far. As Marvel Vietnam need to regroup, need to find ways to get back in, but they do have a whole minute, so not much pressure. But Light is going to be the one enforcing the pressure. Meteor going to be used, and somehow Welsh Corgi picks up a double with the Meteor, makes it a triple, makes it a quad. So many players on O2 Blast just picking up multi-kills left and right, and it forces Marvel Vietnam to stay in spawn. Tries to find a bit of space, but O2 Blast don't want to give any of it away.
Honestly, in the ultimate of things, MVM got lucky there. They, because O2 Blast used 3 ultimates to boot, right? And so they'll have hopefully a couple now. MVN moving into this next team fight as Welsh Corgi does their best to hold things in the fort for themselves. Crystals popped as well, but Rocco being a devastating force, now forcing the fate of both worlds to come out, sustaining this entire back line, and the brawl will start, but teams will find Phoenix right in the front. Rocco doing their best to slice and dice. It's gonna be the final judgment coming out. A great bubble.
Yeah, but True Tiger doing some work right now with the final judgment, and it looks like Marvel Vietnam will continue the momentum.
Continue indeed, right? They have to stick on to this point, and honestly, O2 Blast knows it. They're still opting for their ultimates, but they have 4 to say the least. And with Onsen coming in with a Hulk ultimate, this might be a big brawl on site, possibly forcing some of these players off.
Yeah, here we go. Welsh is gonna open up with the Meteor. Rocco goes in with the last stand. Doesn't quite land anyone with the knockup, but it doesn't matter because the clobbering is going to land on so many members of Marvel Vietnam. And that's gonna be the end of that fight. Maybe the end of this round as the overtime meter expires. And O2 Blast are able to hold the fort down as Marvel Vietnam can only settle with 1.
Oh. There was honestly so much stun capability that came out right at the tail end. We had clobbering time, we had last stand, we had Meteor M to find these players scattered around. And O2 Blast played it sequentially, right? You don't want to dunk everything all at once. Yes, you can maybe get away with it, but if they had one defensive ult in their pocket, it might have been the saving grace. Nonetheless, you want to be able to play out all your proactive ultimates as much as possible, and that's exactly how they played that final few seconds and denied MVN the second checkpoint.
Yeah, well played by O2 Blast. Able to keep it together. It did look a little shaky as Marvel Vietnam were getting their momentum going, but O2 Blast, they just needed one good team fight, one good opening, one good closing, and it was enough.
Look at the intensity on these player cams, right? Everyone's locked into a dark room. They want 0 distractions from everyone. They really want to bring their A game here. Last 10 seconds of silence. It's gonna be interesting opening coming from O2 Blast with, once again, looks like almost like a Jeff. I think the Jeff was just there to provide a speed bubble so they can get out into these around the pagoda and immediately taking to the high ground. This means that this forces some of the long range players like Lich off their angles, and this will allow O2 Blast to push the cart significantly faster than their counterpart.
Yeah, O2 Blast are opting for a more dive-oriented composition right now. Rocco and Ray going to opt for those in-your-face kind of fights as Hiel open things up with a pick onto Felix, I'm sorry. As O2 Blast slowly keeping that payload moving forward, slowly but surely. Welsh Corgi doing so much damage right now. And a quick check onto these ultimates. Some of them coming up very, very soon. Solman and Ray. It's actually Ray going to be the one to open things up with the Dance of the Butterfly. There is no one else available with their ultimates, and Rocco is able to find an isolation onto Hale, who gets revived by the BRB. CYA then will be on top, used by Rethan. Will keep Marvel Vietnam healthy for the time being. Ray just bothering everyone on Marvel Vietnam, but Tienz is able to find a pick onto Onse. And that's going to be one Vanguard down on the side of O2 Blast. And it looks like this push is going to be stopped for a little bit longer. Welsh Corgi is going to threaten things with the Meteor, but it doesn't quite land onto anyone. And the shield, I think, did block the Meteor, but Tienz is able to find that pick onto that Magneto. Onse, here we go with the Eye of Agamotto, lands onto 3, but only 1 goes down. Felix able to keep everyone sustained and alive with the Fate of Both Worlds, as Rocco just ripping Tienz to shreds as O2 Blast finally pick things up.
They do indeed, and their momentum is strong with it. 2 minutes at the half mark is more than MVN could have asked for. The portal coming in, not really taking the high ground, sort of, from that perspective. So they're gonna immediately fight on the slice and the dice, plus the Dance of the Butterflies being negated by, I believe, Fate of Both Worlds. But we'll find Hill nonetheless, dashing out of that to regroup with the rest of their team. Goes Ree, being an absolute nuisance in the backline, not overstaying their stay.
Oh, clobbering time going to be used on top of the last stand. That's the Wombo combo that Marvel Vietnam were looking for this whole time. And they will reap the benefits, reap the rewards as Tien gets thrown. Look at him go. He just glides right through. Doesn't quite land onto anyone, but that is still a huge win for Marvel Vietnam if they want to keep themselves alive in this best of 3 series.
Oh, 100% right. And now on to the Fate of Both Worlds. We'll have 2 of those coming up, so that might be a total of 24 seconds of invulnerability. But Soman's just sitting on it just for a little while, waiting for the perfect time to pop it. It's going to be it coming in right now for the sustain for the rest of their team. And Ray has the Dance of the Butterflies as well. Takes to the back line, drops out Miracle. Perfect shot onto the strategist. Kyle's going to be able to revive Miracle nonetheless.
Oh my gosh, but the CYA is just buying so much time. Ray can't find an opening to use the Dance of the Butterfly, but will it even be necessary as these picks are going in favor of O2 Blast, as Onse is able to shut down True Tiger, who just recently used the clobbering time, and it's a special delivery by Rocco into his own team, as everyone on O2 Blast finally in sync with each other yet again as they're able to secure that first point.
Rocco is hunting for more.
Rocco,
not
chill,
happy with what they've seen so far. They want no chill. No chill. They need to answer back. Look at how far Onse and Rocco have pushed, right? They want to be able to maybe expend some, and this sends the Vietnam team packing away. Holy.
Yeah, this aggressive positioning by O2 Blast is just keeping Marvel Vietnam at bay. They know that Marvel Vietnam need to get to the site. They need to find a way to defend. True Tiger will be the one to make first contact. But for now, O2 looking really, really good. But then there's the fastball into the pits of hell goes Onse as Tienz is able to find an important pick. As the last stand, though, lands onto so many members of Marvel Vietnam, but it's not going to be enough. No one goes down as these ultimates going to get traded left and right. Tien's trying to find an ultimate of his own. Will only settle with a strategist. That's going to be Felix, but Marvel Vietnam, they're looking to hold with 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining.
They need to hold, right? If they don't, the chances of a map 3 go out the window. as well as their upper bracket
whoa.
final. So a bit of an interesting teleport to maybe take the back line and force a bit of a pinch. At least the high ground, allowing Loki's a lot of space here. There's a bit of an inversion coming through.
Welsh Corgi does have the meteor available. He's gonna have to time it perfectly. Here comes that Eye of Agamotto. It's only gonna land onto Miracle. The clobbering time going to be used, but is it going to be enough? No, the Fate of Both Worlds is going to get actually denied by TN's. Felix getting absolutely exploded. Welsh Corgi needs to land it, but the ceiling denies any sort of damage. And this is catastrophic on the side of O2 Blast. Can't find any ground. Rocco adjusts to the Hella. But can he find any picks, any opportunities? The Gods of Death are not available just yet, but is able to use the bird to get himself up into the high ground. And the team up with Rocco and Ray are able to get the burst damage down onto the Fate of Both Worlds. And that might do it unless there's a desperation teleport coming in. Rocco able to reposition, but Felix comes out with a double. And this is all looking bad news for Marvel Vietnam. And it's going to be all O2 Blast all over this site, all over this map, all over this series, as everyone on Marvel Vietnam are just staggering to their deaths. And O2 Blast come out on top with a very, very close game 2, but it is a 2-0 win in the end.
It is a 2-0 indeed. The Alpha group will best the Bravo group from this perspective. O2 Blast maybe getting that, that sponsor buff right now, coming out as Dopamine into O2 Blast to give themselves a clean 2-0 sweep against the Vietnamese team, who honestly put one hell of a fight. But I felt like they maybe took a little too long to find their momentum.
It really did look like that, but to be fair, Marvel Vietnam, we'll give props to them in this game number 2 for showing that they are able to make these proactive plays. Game 1 just looked way too reactive on the side of